Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. Welcome to another exciting episode of the EntreMusician Podcast. This is the space where we concentrate on the mindset, the discipline, and the focus of the EntreMusician. Today's episode, absolutely no exception. In fact, I'm very excited about what we're doing today because we are introducing our associate director, formally introducing, if I could speak, introducing our associate director of the EntreMusician International. His name is Nenad Cvetičanin. He is from Serbia. We call him Nenad C. We also call him the George Clinton of Serbia. A lot of funk and soul and jazz in his blood as he grew up listening to that style of music. As a matter of fact, we are very close in age, in our late 50s, and have so much in common. And we as the EntreMusician community could not be more proud and excited and grateful for Nenad being a wonderful part of our community and has gone through our coaching. And when we begin to open up this conversation internationally, he was the first person to come to mind to be the quarterback for the conversations that go on there. So let me back up just for a second because I let my excitement get the best of me, just to give you some background as to exactly what's happening in the EntreMusician community. First and foremost, you may know, if you don't know, that we are a growing community of EntreMusicians. We are, how do I want to put this? Because we were talking about this morning. So, we really are geared to those in the age group and demographic of 50 years old and over. However, there are several members who are under the age of 50 years old. 50 just seems to be a common ground because of the conversations that we have, the way we look at music and distribution and marketing, understanding the way the industry used to work, and also adopting the ideals and the trends and the methodology of the new music system, and helping each other, sharpening each other, challenging each other, and collaborating with each other to grow. We're just kind of find ourselves in this. But we were discussing this morning as far as opening up the door. Well, the door is always open to you, my friend, not only from your age group, no matter how old you are, not only from your specific genre, okay, but now we can really say from anywhere on the planet. Just to give you a little background about the EntreMusician, we started this up, it really grew legs. Let's put it this way. We started in 2019, but it really grew legs during the global shutdown, where, as you know, and as I'm sure you are a part of, everyone and their brother being on Zoom and trying to create these innovative conversations whereby we as musicians could stay viable. And one of the things that was really thought-provoking to me is that I don't care who you were, and certainly I've discussed this in podcasts prior, but it didn't matter who you were. Didn't matter how many Grammys you had won or how many sold out performances in 100,000 seat arenas you have played. Everybody was at a standstill, a stop sign, so to speak. And what would happen when the green light came back on? And that really challenged my thinking at that point. How could I compete against a particular artist who has miles and miles of traction ahead of me? Well, Not that I necessarily believe in competing musically, but I'm just using it as a metaphor. Who do I, as a relative unknown, even though I have 20 years of professional experience in a band, and even more so as a producer, what do I have to bring to the table? How can I think innovatively? What steps do I need to take to begin really building once this light turns green? Okay. And so that began the conversation of the entrepreneurial musician. And again, this is in the throes of 2020, before things began opening back up. Had some very challenging conversations with a gentleman named Vance Anderson. God bless him. He is no longer with us. He passed on this past October of 2023. But Vance, who had been in the industry, and I mean really replete in the industry with people like Pat Metheny and John McLaughlin and Paco de Lucia and those type of artists, and then to have spent 20 years as road manager with the iconic Tony Bennett, he began sharing with me his perspective of where we were. I was going to say are, but where we were then and where we could be. And that began the seeds of where we are now. With respect to conversations with Linda Bolero, who's an associate professor at Berklee School of Music. She's the associate professor of voice there. She joined our conversation, and a longtime friend, Daryl Looney. So the four of us just began this whole conversation of what could be, and we began to grow this community. And we're grateful for everyone who's a part of the community. I always kind of hate to name names, but I kind of have to, because we've really, there have been people who have started with us, the four of us, and they're no longer there, and much respect and blessings to them because they are thriving as well outside of the EntreMusician. But as we see presently at 21 members, this organic structure growing, and now, as I said before, now that my logic is catching up with my excitement, having this additional arm of the EntreMusician International now being led by our good friend Nenad, the sky is the limit. Because the one thing that we do offer is we offer a strong community. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that because I have to name a few names, okay? I haven't forgotten about that. I'm not that old yet. So with respect to the community, it's a vibrant community. Again, we challenge each other. We talk about topics that are definitely and completely at the source of who we are first and what we want to accomplish second. As far as streaming platforms, as far as copyright is concerned, as far as distribution, marketing, promotion, as far as social media, as far as what we are going to do with our songs, who our target market is. And we're all over the place, from gospel to jazz to funk to R&B, to folk music, to children's songs, writing children's songs, all of these things, to sync licensing and everything in between. We talk about it, we collectively gather information, and we begin to disseminate in a way that is most helpful for all of us to grow. Okay, now, with respect to that, you can narrow that down to mindset, discipline, and focus, because those are the three pillars that the EntreMusician rests on: mindset, discipline, and focus. And then obviously our vehicle for that are another three words, which is community, coaching, and collaboration. And so we take those things very, very strongly. And finally, we're seeing momentum as we grow and build into these great community of EntreMusicians. I was trying to think of another word, but community is the best word to use in our community. So just to give you, a few of the members: Robbie Cunningham, strong member of the EntreMusician community, and Jessica Jinks, And as I already said, Daryl Looney. And then we have John Bruce, who's one of the newest members of the EntreMusician community. I'm trying to think stateside before we go into our international membership. He has a great platform, streaming platform, called stagedive.com. We've talked about it here. Daryl Looney has interviewed John Bruce, but very viable member and an important voice in the EntreMusician community is Nathaniel Rhodes. God bless you, Nathaniel. He is a strong leader, as well as Robin Williams. So Robin, I mean, just strength. Terry Bay. And her voice is equally as strong as we plot along here. And then, of course, we have Jay Levert, who's a member of the EntreMusician from North Coast Digital. Very, very wonderful gentleman. And coming alongside us is Danny Jones. We've interviewed Danny Jones before when we were doing our Dolby Atmos series. He's a part of the EntreMusician. And then we go into our international community. Thomas Alexander from Alberta, Canada. Anna Nicholson, I believe she's from Edmonton, Canada. But they've been with us a long time hanging out. And then, of course, Nenad comes on, of course, and he's a great voice, very knowledgeable, and he is going to serve this community well in his capacity. And then we have Vlado from Germany. I'm sorry, Vlado, I'm not pronouncing your last name. I don't think I will do it justice, my friend, but Vlado, very funky bass player. And we have Amarnath Ranatunga from Sri Lanka. We have Ladina, our dear sister Ladina from Finland. We have, who am I forgetting? We have Moses Gomes from Brazil. So again, we are really, really growing. And we can count as honorary members Irma Dijon and Gian Riccardo Pera, both who are from Italy. So again, this community is growing strong, and we couldn't be more proud of what is happening and how Nenad is going to be a valuable asset to what's happening. But what we wanted to do, first and foremost, I'll do two things real quick. What we thought of doing was interviewing Nenad, but we already have an interview with him. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes, in the description, so you can go back to that interview when he was just a real cool guy that we thought would make a great EntreMusician, and we interviewed him in that podcast episode. But I asked him if he wouldn't mind just sharing a few words of his own, unprovoked by any distraction of an interviewer, question or answer, but just share from his heart two things. Number one, what it feels like to be an EntreMusician and to take the reins to lead up this huge conversation that we're having now with an international audience. And then he is on the verge of releasing a great project called Living Soul. And I wanted him to share that with you and tell you about the project and do it in his own words. So we're going to edit that in as soon as I can shut up here. We'll edit that in, and you can meet Nenad for yourself. Have an opportunity to feel his heartbeat. And then I challenge you, however you're listening, wherever in the world you are from, to join us, because this is what it's all about: community, coaching, and collaboration, and doing it together. But as we were waiting for Nenad to send his footage in, we thought, one of the things that we don't do enough here on our podcast is we don't celebrate the wins as well as we should, because all of us are working. All of those names that I mentioned, we're all working on our own projects. Some of those projects are collaborative, like I said. So we're hooking up, writing songs for sync together. Robbie and I recently did a project that we submitted to a sync library. I did bass and drum parts for a Ladina song. And Robin Williams did some parts for one of Ladina's songs as well. So there's all of this swirly stuff going on. But just to bring it back to ground zero, Sound Doctrine, a band that I've been in since 2002. I'm grateful to serve them as producer and as quarterback, or, band leader, whatever you want to call it. We're all in this together. We have been hot and heavy the last few weeks, and I'm really grateful and want to share with you some of the things that are going on with Sound Doctrine. First and foremost, we began the year with a Dolby Atmos project, which was mixed by Danny Jones, who is an EntreMusician, mixed by him and mastered by Michael Romanowski, who's a Grammy Award winner, celebrated mastering engineer. And we put 3 of our previous tunes on an EP called Spirit and Soul. And those 3 songs are Incipience, Marriage, and Obfuscating Euphemism. In fact, you can go back through the podcast episodes. I did an episode on each one, the process and all of that. I talked to Danny Jones. We talked to Dave Inninger at Across the Road Studios, and just really had that on point, put that together, etc. But want to celebrate that because that came out. That was released in January. And then we also put a project out. Clifford Barnes and I, the keyboard player from Sound Doctrine, we released a project. Well, I should say we licensed a project to Cicerona Music in Italy, and they are releasing it March 22nd. I'm recording this on March 9th of 2024. So in a couple weeks, that one will be out. It's called Phantasmagoria. It's a 21-minute funk opera odyssey. So a lot of strange stuff. We threw in a lot of strange things just to be experimental. So if you like funk with grits and gravy and soul and then sound design and a lot of experimental beats and time signatures coming in and out, I think that is the project for you, Phantasmagoria, and that was done by Clifford Barnes, extraordinary genius on the keyboards, and myself pulling up the rear, making it happen together. So look out for that. And just 2 Thursdays ago, on Leap Day, the 29th of February, Sound Doctrine released a single called Tomorrow Today, which features Nicoducci and features Tiffany Robinson, both on vocals. Now, I'm going to have to name a couple names here because it's a delightful, timeless single. Can I say that? Can I say that as the songwriter? Wow, I think it's, because I don't want you to think I'm all tripping or anything. I'm not, but it really is a delightful, timeless single. And we really were intent on making it special. And these musicians and singers absolutely did. Again, first, Nicoducci, whom we have interviewed here on the EntreMusician. Tiffany Robinson, who has not yet been interviewed, but will be. We're working on more material even as we speak. And then there's Eric Tyus on guitar, amazing guitar player. There is Jeremy Lucas, whom I've worked with in the past on keyboards, and Mitch Lawrence, who is a longtime member of Sound Doctrine on saxophone. That's why I did that. But I realize some of you are not looking at the video. So Mitch plays an excellent sax. And then we want to give great praise to Deborah Hasley and Julia Ewing, who just tied in those background vocals really, really tight. So we're really grateful for them. And so that unit really put out a good product. So check it out. I'll have the link to that song as well in the description. And again, just wanted to celebrate some wins, but everybody here, I think what I'll do is just put everybody's website in the description so you can check them out for yourself. Poetic Soul, Robin Williams, Anna Nicholson, Thomas Alexander, again, just great work. Ladina, Canary Songs, Good work. And of course, the gentleman that I'm about to introduce to you, his name is Nenad C. His band is called Numismatica. The project is Living Soul. So without boring you anymore, we're going to say hello to Nenad and come back and close the door.
Hi, my name is Nenad C, and I'm EntreMusician. And if you're watching this, so are you. I was born in Yugoslavia, multinational, multi-confessional country with the highest level of social equality in the whole world. And then, one morning, I woke up in my bed just to find out that the country I was born in, that I've loved, ceased to exist. Can you imagine that? That all of a sudden you're now living in some different country, although you didn't even leave your own bed? Can you imagine what it would look like if you wake up one day and someone tells you that there is no United States anymore, and just because some bastard politicians decided to make it happen for their own benefit? So, I've survived 3 wars. I've survived standing in a row for a loaf of bread and 10 ounces of milk per day for hours, because there was no bread nor any food to be bought. I've survived 78 days of constant air raids and bombs falling, hiding in shelters, watching toddlers wrapped up in blankets with a biscuit in their hands. I've survived court-martial prosecution for refusing to take arms. I've survived a target drawn on my forehead for being the traitor of the nation. I've survived being married to a narcissistic psychopath for 25 years. I've survived 3 years of binge drinking. I've survived severe clinical depression. I've survived my daughter's illness. I've survived untimely deaths of my closest friends. I've survived my own wish to end my own life. I was a musician, songwriter, played for 5 people and played for 50K people. I was a translator with dozens of books, hundreds of movies, and thousands of TV series episodes translated. I was a TV anchorman, foreign policy analyst, head of the news department of National TV Network, head of nationwide radio station. I was a head of PR department for His Royal Highness Crown Prince of Yugoslavia. I was a novelist, award-winning screenwriter, award-winning advertising copywriter. And now, I'm 50 years old, and I'm just starting to live. So, what's your excuse? We musicians are a strange breed. Did you know that sound does not exist? Sound is just a disturbance of natural order of atoms and molecules caused by wave of certain frequency. If you go to outer space, there is no sound, because there are no atoms nor molecules in the empty space. You could clap your hands and nothing would be heard. You could take a hammer and bang on your helmet, and yet no sound will appear. Even a spaceship could blow up, and you would just see the blast, but no sound. And yet, somehow, we managed to create unimaginable beauty out of that nothingness. We can evoke deepest emotions and touch hearts and souls of millions with that nothing. How can that be? What's that inside us? Being a musician is not a career. It's not a job. It is a call. It is something we were born with, a gift embedded in the very core of our being. It's the craving of our souls with the urge to fulfill it. But how to make a living out of it? For most of the world, the music was almost always for free. In the ancient times, people would just sit around the fire, and the most gifted ones would sing or play, producing music without any compensation. 2 or 3 centuries ago, a full orchestra would play matinees in the park for anyone who was there. And then came radio. Free music was just a click away. And more radios brought more and more music for free. Or you could just go to a bar or a restaurant, and there would be some guy or guys playing in the corner. For a guest, that was of no charge at all. Just for a short span of time, people were buying music. For 30 years only, not much. And what's 30 years compared to the whole history? And even then, the artists, the musicians, fought constant wars with the industry, trying to get their hard-earned money. Nowadays, with streaming services, music just continued to be free. You pay some small amount for the service, but not for music. And musicians are paid fraction of the fraction of the fraction. Huge names of the industry, people that revolutionized the art, that changed people's minds, now can't pay bills. Not because they're not doing anything, but because nobody's paying anything for what they do anymore. And yet, there's more and more music each day. And music is used in movies, TV shows, commercials, Instagram Reels, TikTok. And we still don't get anything out of it. Or anything substantial, at least. So what can be done? Those are the reasons I became EntreMusician. Because music helped me survive the toughest challenges of my life. Because it's in me, and I have to share it with the world, or my sole existence is meaningless. Because there is a way to make a living out of it, and EntreMusician is the path for achieving that goal. That's why I have to have my mindset, discipline, and focus in the right place. And that's why I'm learning every day, eagerly seeking knowledge. Knowledge how to avoid being scammed by the industry, how to use streaming services and social media for my own benefit, and how to monetize what I do. And that's why I'm EntreMusician. And guess what? So are you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our dear brother and friend, Nenad Cvetičanin. And hopefully through hearing his heart, hearing his story, hearing about the incredible experiences he has endured, you could see why he was our first choice to be the Associate Director of the EntreMusician International. And that begs the question, what about you? You have a story. I know you have a heart. And you have experiences that we don't, which would help bring a broader perspective as to what we're endeavoring to do here at the EntreMusician. So if something about Nenad's story, something about what we're doing here resonates with you, why don't you schedule a 15-minute Zoom call with me? And I can answer your questions. I can bring more clarification as to our role here at the EntreMusician and some of the exciting things that we have coming on the horizon and how you fit in to this larger narrative. Hope you do. I hope you give me a call. I told you this was going to be a very special episode, and I'm grateful for Nenad sharing his heart the way he did. My name is Jere B. I always say, I am the EntreMusician, but you know what's most important. So are you. We'll see you again next time. God bless.